morning, everybody. I'm heading to the lake for about the 15th time, I guess, with my boat. I've been dealing with interference issues that were created by adding a Motorguide XI3 trolling motor to my boat. The PWM control module creates the interference. I have tried a multitude of things after searching the internet for weeks. Last week I actually called Motorguide, and a guy named Jerry at customer service was very helpful. He said there's typically two things that will create this type of interference, considering I had eliminated all of the others using shielded wire, twisted wire, you name it. If it was on the internet, I had tried it. So after our conversation, I went on the hunt to see if I could find any common ground wire issues between the 12-volt starting battery side and the trolling motor side. And I did find some. The previous owner, he had wired the radio that he had added and tied the ground wire into the 24-volt side, plus it was tied into the engine ignition side. The hot wire was also run to a separate location that he had created from one of the 12-volt batteries on the 24-volt side, with good intention to not waste and use extra battery power to operate things like the bilge pump, the bait well pump, the radio, and whatever else that would drain the battery while you were out fishing and cause you a serious problem being broken down. But anyway, I'm going to put it in the water for, like I say, it's probably 15th time, and I'm going to run some testing since I have corrected all of those ground wire issues, and I will find out today what happens, and hopefully for the last time I will have to deal with this. I will update this video. Reviewing and editing my video, I realized that the testing I had performed on Monday, I was using my original Garmin Echomap Plus. The testing I had done on Saturday, I was using my Garmin Echomap Plus. Okay, here we are on the lake, everybody, and I have now got my trolling motor deployed. It is the Motorguide XI3 with all of the extra special features, 24-volt. I also have my Garmin Echomap 93 SV turned on and ready to test. I have gone the menus and I have checked to make sure I am on the correct transducer, which is a GT52 high wide, and is mounted here to the right side of me on the starboard side of my boat. And I also set the interference to low and the TVG to low. So now the trolling motor is actually running at this moment on speed about 3. As you can see right now, the gain is on 69%, which always seems to make a huge difference as I move it up. The interference before doing all of the ground corrections really and truly was a terrible influence. But here I am up to almost 80, and I'm seeing some influence. I may be able to get a little bit of that out if I up the interference on the fish finder. I'd like to get it up to where I can use it at or above 90%, and that's not absolutely terrible. It's better than it was before I did all of the things I did. So now I will have to go down to the menu button. Let's go to Sonar Setup and Advanced. And here we are on interference of low. So I'm going to turn it on medium, and let's go back and see what the screen looks like. There still seems to be some interference. As I increase the gain, I'm up to 91, 92, 93, 94, 95%. Still a bit of clutter. So let me go back to my menu. Let's go back to Sonar Setup, to Advanced. Let's go to TVG. So let's go to Low. And we'll go back to the screen and see what it looks like. In some ways it actually looks worse. Kind of hard to say. Back onto the fish finder. So that did not work. Let's hit this here and let's go back to Sonar Setup. Let's go back to Advanced. Let's go back to Interference and try High. And we'll try Medium time varied gain. You can see right here where I made the change. Not a whole lot of difference. It's different, but still a lot of clutter. So I'm going to try one other thing, and that was to change the beam width, which is something recommended by the people at Garmin. They said to try to find a different frequency that could work, that might be better. So here I have gone up to 17 angle, which is getting narrower. Now I'm at a 16, which makes some difference. But let's go back down to 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So those things did not really seem to help. So let's go here at 18 and mash chirp and see if that makes any difference at all. So that does not really seem to be a huge game changer. I'll go back to menu one more time and go back to Sonar Setup, go back to Advanced, go back to Low and Low on the interference and on the TVG. So, you know, screen's pretty cluttered. So it looks like the only option I'm going to have is to drop back on my gain. One of the reasons I want to be able to have a clearer screen is for seeing fish in the water suspended, but also to be able to see my bait as I drop a bait down beside the boat if I'm trying to vertical jig. So, not sure what percent I have to have it set at to be able to find my bait, but let's go back up here once again to the beam width and try it on 18, because it did look a little clearer the other day on 18. So you can see a little tad of a difference. And we'll go back to 22, which it kind of about the same, not a whole lot of difference. You can see from here to here was 18, here to here is 22, which gives me a little bit wider angle. I've got 7.8 feet on 18. I have a 9.8 foot view at the bottom on 22. And if I go down to the 24-degree cone, I have a 10-foot view. And there looks like there might be some fish down there. So I guess I'll have to give this a try. It looks like a wad of bait of some kind. So anyway, tried raising the gain back up to say 90. And then I'm gonna give it a try and see what happens. I'll let you know. Settings, I have range on auto. I am on the built-in CV52 high wide chirp setting, and my gain is up above 90%. Currently, the trolling motor has not been activated. I am now getting ready to power on the trolling motor. I have applied power. I am now getting ready to increase speed. As you can see, the interference is tremendously increasing, and that's only on about speed 3. So I slow it back down. Or turn it off. Interference goes away. So let's make some settings changes. Let's go to gain. I'm going to drop it down to about 80. Start out at 80. And now I'm going to power up the trolling motor again. And I'm going to start increasing the speed. So that is on speed 2 or 3. So now I'm going to increase the gain slowly upward. 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100. Go back to auto low. Let's go to auto medium. Still not too bad, so let's go to auto high. Which there again, it still appears to be in that 80 range. So I'm going to manually turn it back up again. We're at 77, 78, 79, 80. As you can see, the screen clarity is disappearing. Clutter is becoming more and more. Now up to 84, 85. It may be possible to use it this way, it's just not what I would like for it to be. 86, 87, 88, 89, 90. Go back to auto high. And it clears up quite a bit. Okay, so now I'm going to conduct some testing, adjusting to different beam widths as I was recommended to try by the people at Garmin. So here we are at 17. Speed up the motor some. We're at 16. Go down the scale. Back to chirp. And you're down the scale. Chirp. Nope. Chirp is 18 degrees, my bad. gain is currently at 90%. So let's try making some other changes just to see if the interference levels can be adjusted to low and see what happens. Well, I'm not sure what's going on here. I'm beginning to wonder if I'm on the right source. So let's go back to Sonar setup. This is listed as front. I need to get back to my menu. Go back to installation. Let's go back. Advanced. I'm literally not sure which piece I am operating on at the moment. Well, I'm operating on the GT52 high wide chirp at 100%. I do not have much of any filters on at the moment. Let's go back to the interference and go medium. That actually is pretty impressive, so maybe I have accomplished something. Not sure yet. Go back to Sonar setup, back to advanced, interference, high, interference high. Go back, see what my screen looks like. Not looking too bad, especially at 94% gain. 98, almost 100. There's 100%. Go back to Sonar setup, advanced. Let's try increasing TVG. Okay, let's go back one more time and make another adjustment on the advanced. Go back interference, go back down to medium. And I am running at a fairly high rate of input at 1.5 miles per hour, so I'm going to slow it down some. Let's see what happens as I slow down. Does the interference increase significantly? Possibly could be interference. So let's go back here and go to Sonar setup, advanced. So what happens with show noise? Okay, so it shows it on the surface. Sonar setup, advanced, turn surface noise back off, and got a bad sun angle there. Sorry about that, got a sunspot. So that kind of messes up some of my recording. I get off of that sunspot there, so it's not so bad. I think my flash may be on too, unfortunately. So once again, we'll go back. Now that I'm here in a more shaded position, let's look at this. So I'm at 100% gain. Not looking too bad. I turned off my flash, now you don't see that dot in there. So we'll drop this gain down to 94%, not bad at all. And go back, let's do an advanced. Let's go to interference low. Okay, so we have interference set at low at 94% gain, 95. See slight changes, but it's not terrible. Go back down 96, 95. That's not bad. I can probably live with those. I don't know if I really need to make any other major changes or not here, just for the sake of knowing. I think I've gone through everything. I've gone through TVG. Let me drop it back down to low. May not need it at all. It could be making some difference. I'm not positive about it, but right there is where I made the change. I'll go back to here, go back to advanced, and turn the TVG back up to medium. So here is where I made that change. Not looking bad. I might be able to actually live with these numbers or these views. Okay, well, hopefully I have made some difference with all these disconnecting grounds and all of that kind of stuff. The water, and I now have my trolling motor in the water, and I have my thunder mounted. This is the ultra high definition unit that I had a question about whether I could see a bait or not. I have set my interference and time varied gain to off, and presently the gain is set in manual at 84%. So now I'm turning on the trolling motor and I'm going to start increasing the speed. As you can see, interference is starting to show up. This is at probably speed 2 or 3. Alright, so now I'm going to go to the menu button. I'm going to go to Sonar Setup. I'm going to go to Advanced. I'm going to go up here to the top where it is, and I'm going to set the interference to low, and I'm going to set TVG to low, and then I will exit out. We'll see what the screen looks like. Still seems pretty cluttered at 84%. Okay, so I'm going to go to menu. I'm going to go back to Sonar Setup, go back to Advanced one more time, and go to Interference. I'm going to change it to high, and I'm going to turn TVG on high, which they are both on high right now. So let me go back out of this, back to the screen. And still quite a bit of interference. So let me find another menu. back on gain, and now I'm going to put it on auto low, and let's see what the screen looks like, which, as you can see, interference really dropped out big time. Let's go to auto medium, and still looking pretty good, which is probably around 65% gain. Let's go to auto high, which is somewhere in the neighborhood of 80%. And then let me manually increase it upward. So here we are. Here we're at 80%. Starting to see a good bit of interference as before, as I go up more and more. Here we are back at 85, which is probably not going to allow me to be able to vertical jig. I don't know. I'll take it up to 90, which is really interfered. So I'm going to make an attempt to vertical jig just to see if I can see my bait. So I'll be back in a minute. And for the sake of helping reduce interference, because if I'm vertical jigging, I won't be moving at a half a mile per hour. I will be sitting basically still. So I'm slowing the motor down. Let's see what it actually does speed wise. So I'm presently sitting at 0 mile per hour and 90% gain. I'm going to set anchor lock, which would maintain me in this position if the wind was blowing, which there again, it will speed up and slow down accordingly to whatever it needs to maintain control. As you can see, the motor just came back on. It's trying to stop me from slightly moving forward. So I really and truly don't think that anything I do is going to make this. See, the motor just shut back off because its GPS location was reached. And now it's back on, trying to hunt and search, find that spot. And this is what it will continue to do until it has anchored itself in place. So as you can see, the motor turns on and off. That's how it anchor locks itself into a position. There's a very slight wind blowing from the direction I'm facing. So we'll see what happens now. I think this is going to be just another attempt without any true result as far as vertical jigging goes. I can see my bait rising and falling in between the pulses of the trolling motor. The double yellow line at the bottom, that is my bait. If you notice, it goes up, but then the motor comes on, blocks out all of its view. I'm going to turn off anchor lock. Screen should clear up. And when it does, I should be able to find my bait on the bottom visibly. If you look in that lower right hand corner, you can see that double yellow line. That is the jig head and the weight. And I'm dropping it back down. See it go all the way to the bottom and back up and back down. Well, here I am back to give you an update on my findings. As you saw, everything that I did do, and there were no huge improvements. Maybe some, but not super significant. After I stopped the video the first time, I decided to try finding different color schemes to see if color schemes made any difference on being able to see my bait as it was dropped beside the boat down by the transducer. Didn't make any difference. Nothing seemed to help it stand out anymore. I tried everything you could think of with the trolling motor running even on the slowest speed, but the interference that it creates, even on its very lowest number, makes you have to run the gain lower. And that might not would be an issue, but you still have to run the filters higher also, medium to high. So with the gain turned down to 85, for example, but interference and TVG turned up to medium or high, you still cannot maintain visual contact with a 1/4 ounce crappie jig. I tried every scenario, all the different beam widths while I was doing that exercise. I just didn't video all of it, but take me for my word, the only way I was able to see the bait is to turn off the trolling motor. It just cannot allow you to see on the fish finder a bait that you're vertically jigging, because the interference is just too much. So at this point, I'm not sure which way I will go. I'm probably going to contact Motorguide again and see what else he may offer. But I feel like I'm pretty much about at the end of my options. A little disappointed. Actually, I'm a lot disappointed, because when you pay $2,000 for a trolling motor, and then you've got $2,000 worth of fish finders, and with the cheap trolling motor I had before being a fixed speed, I could still see my bait if I had it on the very lowest speed, if I could keep it within the cone angle, which there again, that was not very easy to do unless you were going into a slight current or the wind. So sorry I couldn't bring you guys a better end result, but I am bringing you one that is very real. And so I'll try to do some more research and see what else I might be able to come up with. And I appreciate anybody who may take the time to watch. Thank you.